Welcome to the Comicstorian channel, where we take some of your favorite pop culture universes, from video games to comic books to movies to TV shows, and we break down the stories within them so that you can keep up with your favorite universe while getting on with your busy life. Recently, we've been covering Nick Spencer's brand new Amazing Spider-Man run, and while he's been doing a really good job of reconfirming the classic Spider-Man mythos, there's been a storyline happening behind the scenes for the first, I'd say, about 17 issues. Well, technically 2 of them, but only one of them is going to be important. The first one that is important is the characters Taskmaster and Black Ant have been kidnapping any animal-themed villains or superheroes that Spider-Man has been interacting with. The second one is a centipede monster-type villain who apparently is going to be coming important later and will show up briefly in here, but don't worry about that. The thing is, we need to know what have Taskmaster and Black Ant been doing. And when we last left off, Black Cat had been captured, and so was the son of Kurt Connors. They're both missing right now, and it's up to Spider-Man to figure out where they've gone and what is going on in this universe. Also, today's video is brought to you by Raycon earbuds. Let me tell you a little bit about that before we get started with this massive Spider-Man story. Today's video is sponsored by Raycon earbud headphones. Raycon headphones have become my new favorite way to listen to music. The company was actually co-founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and Snoop Dogg are already obsessed. These earbuds start at about half the price of other premium wireless earbuds on the market, and they have incredible quality. Raycon's earbuds look stylish, feel comfortable, and they sound amazing. Raycon offers their wireless earphones in a range of different fun colors and patterns for you to choose from. Raycons are perfect for when you want to listen to music while you exercise, but don't want those wires flopping around and earbuds falling out. If you use our link, buyraycon.com/complete, you can get 15% off your order, brought to you by Raycon. That's 15% off your order by going to buyraycon.com/complete. COMPLETE. There are many beasts in the world, but there is one that stands above all of them as the ultimate apex predator: Kraven. He has been called many things: the Beast, the Hunter, Kravenov. But now, he is none of those things. He is now the Ghost, a shell of what he once was. Once his soul burned bright with passion and rage and power. But when that light faded, he chose his own end, and it was glorious, if only for a brief moment. Now everything that Kraven sees, he hates. There is no dignity in this existence. No dignity anywhere. The old ways have been lost, and he yearns for death. A death that this time cannot be undone. A death that only a spider can give. So he will find a way. There will be peace, but not yet. Meanwhile, across the town, Spider-Man swings through the city searching for Billy Connors, the son of Kurt Connors, or as some know him, the Lizard. Billy was just one person in the mass round of animal-themed villains, all snatched up by Taskmaster and Black Ant. This would be a relief to some, but among those that was taken was Black Cat. She tried to contact him just before it happened, but the call was all garbled. She did manage to give Spider-Man a location, though. So it's off to the shipyard to try and find some clues, find out why Taskmaster and Black Ant are kidnapping animal-themed villains and heroes. While Spider-Man investigates, though, elsewhere, Black Cat is sitting in the room with scared Billy. Black Cat was never one for kids, so she tries her best to console the child. But no matter what she says, he continues to cry. She tells him not to worry. She has a plan to get them both out of there. Help is already on the way. But just then a voice says that he hopes so, for both their sakes. Billy hides behind Black Cat as Kraven walks in, telling them, "I mean you no harm." Black Cat asks, "Are you kidding? I can't remember a luxury room having laser bars for doors." Kraven says that he apologizes. They are for him. I demand certain security measures. However, you are being kept here for a reason. You are his weakness, a woman that he once loved, a child who he so desperately wants to save. Such a noble creature the spider is. Black Cat shouts, No, I'm being used as bait? Do you have any idea how insulting this is?" Kraven tells her, "You misunderstand. I'm not the one who's hunting him this time." Back on the freight ship, Spider-Man makes his way through, trying to find anything that can help him. But as he looks, he starts to get lightheaded, and images of Mary Jane appear. Is she in danger? Why is his head pounding? He can't seem to catch a breath either. His throat closing up like there's something in the air. There's something in the air. Spider-Man tries to push through the gas, but when he collapses, his spider sense begins to go off the charts. He looks back to see Kraven standing over him, but he looks younger, bigger, maybe. Kraven slams his fist down and Spider-Man rolls out of the way stating, "Yeah, definitely faster." Kraven shouts, "Do you feel it?" The mist contained many secrets. Kraven continues to swing wildly until one manages to catch Spider-Man off guard, knocking him away. But elsewhere, Arcade looks at a sleeping man-bull and makes a face when Kraven walks in asking for a status report. Arcade tells him that everything is going according to plan. Their guests here have survived the trip. Other than that, the area that they are looking at is secured and everything is ready to go online, which should be soon. Ladies and gentlemen back at the Plaza Ballroom are getting a little restless. Kraven tells him, "No, we will wait. We have one more coming, one last trophy to collect." Back with Spider-Man, he's thrown into a wall, and the younger Kraven says, "I am saddened. I thought that this would be more of a challenge. All the legends, the stories of the noble black creature, and here you are, just another dying man." Spider-Man reaches back, ripping a pipe off the wall, smacking the younger Kraven across the face with it. He then webs up a nearby wall, flinging himself back at the younger Kraven, punching him over and over. And that's when the image returns. Mary Jane screaming for help. Spider-Man pauses. "You saw it, right? Some believe the myths are merely hallucinations, but some believe that they are actual visions of what is to come. Warnings of terrible fates that will befall them." Spider-Man stands there in a daze, and all he can see is Mary Jane's apartment. There's blood, there's broken glass, and Mary Jane. The young Kraven charges in, punching Spider-Man repeatedly before picking him up and slamming him back into the ground. Spider-Man struggles to breathe, and all he can say is, "Mary Jane, I'm so sorry." The young Kraven then picks up his body, dragging him outside, dumping him off in Central Park. As he does this, Kraven tells the guests in the plaza, "The hunt has begun." And as he finishes, a giant force field forms, covering all of Central Park. A few moments later, Spider-Man wakes up looking at himself, seeing himself in his black costume. He asks what's going on, but before he can even finish asking, a voice calls out. Scorpion walks towards him, stating, "Of course you're in on this, and you're gonna die!" But another voice says, "Not if we kill him first." Tarantula steps out of the woods, but it's not just him, it's all of the missing villains. And they're all surrounding Spider-Man. Scorpion lunges and Spider-Man tells him, "You gotta hang on, this isn't what it looks like. Someone is after all of us." And just then an explosion goes off and the sounds of rifles can be heard as bullets are ripping through the woods and into the crowd. From the shadows, dozens of Kraven-looking robots march their way in, getting ready for the kill. Within seconds, everyone begins to run and the robots continue firing as they give chase. Stegron turns back shouting, "Why do you run? Fight the Horde!" And some of the flyers shoot up into the sky, but as they crash into the force-filled barrier, Tarantula says that it would seem that they are sitting ducks here. One of the robots tells the others, "Check it out, hun. See how I clocked that one?" And the other robot says, "Sure did, babe. So hot for you right now." But Spider-Man listens and he thinks, this isn't Kraven. They look like him, but they don't talk or act like him. Even that younger Kraven looks more like Kraven, but that one was definitely flesh and bone. So that begs the question, what are these things? Back at the plaza, Arcade stands up on stage stating that he would like a group of 2 of them to come forward. It's an early bird special crowd that is already out on the field, but it's time for them to meet the Hunters. Behind Arcade sits 3 of the Kraven robots, and Arcade explains that these babies will give them the hunt of a lifetime. We'll be able to use these to track and kill some of the world's most dangerous creatures. But how will we do that safely? After all, you all have families to go home to. That's why good old Arcade came up with a solution. We're gonna help you become as deadly and powerful as your beloved Kraven without any worthless training. That's why you get a chance to become Kraven himself with the flick of a switch. You will use these special VR headsets that are connected directly to your cerebral cortex to control these advanced robots out on the field. Now, who out there in the crowd would like to volunteer? One man steps forward shouting, Ooh, I will. What do I do? Arcade then sets him up with a headset, telling him to relax and just do what comes naturally. The man cracks his knuckles, but instead of moving his own hands, he moves the hands of the Kraven robot. Arcade then says, "That's it. Now that you're strong enough, are you going to defeat the deadly Iguana?" Iguana rushes at the robot in the field, and Arcade asks, "Are you going to take that?" The man grits his teeth shouting, no, I will not. He materializes a club and he begins to bash Iguana with it. He continues to do so until Iguana is dead. The man begins to shout, I did it! I killed it! And Arcade claps, telling him, you sure did. Now, who's gonna be next? Back at the park, Kraven's robots swarm the area, shooting and killing everyone inside. Just before Gibbon is shot, Spider-Man swings in, grabbing him. Spider-Man tells him, I said it once, I'll say it again. Always look both ways before crossing the hunter-killer robot clone things. Vulture then yells, don't trust the do-gooder. And Spider-Man says, hey, I resent that. Not the do-gooder part, but the trusting part. So Vulture goes on telling him, all Spider-Man is going to do is put us back in a cell. Come with me and we can fight back. Gibbon begins to get back up and he begins to follow, but Spider-Man shouts, wait, come back! But Gibbon doesn't listen. Just then there's an explosion throwing Spider-Man across the field, and more Kraven robots begin to make their way in. But meanwhile, up in the trees, Black Ant tells Taskmaster that he isn't gonna lie. I'm gonna miss him. Sure, most of them are homicidal maniacs, but there's also some real good listeners in this bunch. Black Ant then watches the carnage, with Taskmaster telling him, yep. And he slides a small device onto his hand. He then says, you know, ants are animals too. And he slaps Black Ant on the back, electrocuting him. Taskmaster then hops down, telling him, sorry, little buddy, just business. But if it helps, I charged double for this one. Back with Vulture, Gibbon says that he appreciates the help back there. Supervillains gotta stick together, right? And Vulture tells him, no, actually, I just need to be faster than you. He pulls in front of Gibbon, and Gibbon is shot from behind, with Vulture laughing as he gets away. But while all of this is happening, remember Mary Jane? Well, back in her apartment, she wakes up when she feels something crawling on her head. She screams, shaking her hair, and a few seconds later, a centipede falls out onto the table. Before, things like this would scare her, but now she's able to handle these things without feeling the urge to smack it with a shoe. She helps the centipede outside, and as she shuts the door, she goes back to sleep. But as she sleeps, our mysterious centipede man from our earlier stories is watching over. Back over at the Plaza Hotel, though, Kraven looks out the window asking, you still do not see my vision for this, my son. The younger Kraven shouts, no, I do not, father. All these beasts we've captured. We should have been the ones out there hunting them. But instead, all I see is a man who's forgotten his legacy. He sits there and gives it to them? Those fools, those pretend killers? We must act together. Show the world what we are truly capable of. Kraven looks at the monitor, seeing Spider-Man, and tells him, no, not yet. It is not our time, but soon. Back in Central Park, Spider-Man finds the body of Gibbon, and then he thinks back to how Vulture manipulated him into thinking they stood a chance. Just then there's an explosion and one of the hunters shouts, yeehaw! Another one bites the dust! Whoa, is that Spider-Man? Should I get his autograph? As the hunters all boast about their kill, Spider-Man leaps in, webbing up their faces, and then he escapes. But as he hides, he notices the arrows carved into the ground and walls. He's pretty sure it's a trail, but as he follows it, he finds all of the supervillains who had the same idea. Some of the villains ask, what are they going to do? And the Vulture steps up stating, you were all correct to be afraid. Lord knows I was. But through the selfless acts of Gibbon, I am able to stand here now to fully understand my purpose here. It is to lead you all to victory, to fight those who hunt us. Spider-Man jumps down asking, really? You're gonna listen to Vulture? You all know he's lying, right? You all need to sit down and figure out an escape plan. Those robots are next to indestructible. Notice how Vulture doesn't have any proof of actually taking down one of those things? Vulture asks him, you want proof? Then look at this, the head of a hunter. Just the first of many should you all follow me. Spider-Man says, look, okay, maybe you did take one down, but that doesn't mean you don't know if... My point is you can't trust the Vulture. Rhino then shouts, we should just kill the spider. And Vulture tells him, that's enough. No one hates the wall crawler as much as I do. But Spider-Man is not our enemy right now. We are in a war for our very survival, and there are only two sides. The hunters and the hunted. Follow me and we will destroy those who hunt us. Everyone begins to cheer, and Spider-Man thinks, well, things are just going wonderful, aren't they? Meanwhile, under the hotel, Taskmaster walks through the sewers with a chain, stating that the rates have doubled for this one. And Arcade tells him, of course, it's the least I could do. So Taskmaster pulls in the chains, pulling a muzzled lizard, stating, enjoy. Back with Spider-Man, he swings through the park when he overhears a group of hunters when one of them spot him. The hunter says that he needs a selfie real quick, so Spider-Man turns back punching him, asking, you think this is fun? You want to hunt something? You want to kill something? Well, why don't you try it on me now? Try it. As Spider-Man lifts up both arms into the air, a voice says, yeah, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Spider-Man looks over to see Black Ant standing on a leaf, and he asks, Have you come to admire a job well done? And Black Ant tells him, no, I was just trying to stop you from doing something you'll regret. It's time you learned the truth about this place, Spider-Man. Meanwhile, down below Central Park, Taskmaster taking out a group of lizards stating that he taught them better than this. Anyway, the end of the deal is done. You're inside the park. Taskmaster unchains and frees Lizard, and Taskmaster then asks, what about the antidote? Lizard calls back the antidote is time. The side effects of the injection will pass within 24 hours. Taskmaster shouts, asking, are you serious? Should have really saw that one coming. Back in the hotel, the young Kraven slams his fist down, stating, enough! We must act. Kraven tells him, no, not yet. In a fit of anger, the young Kraven throws the desk, stating, I said something was wrong. The scent I smell is fear, weakness, and it sickens me. I've spent my entire life of dreaming of our rule together. But if you no longer have the strength to defend the Kravenov name, don't worry, someone else will. A short while later in the holding cells, Lizard looks at the empty cell and says, Billy was here, and I couldn't save him. He then notices the blood on the ground, and as he sniffs it, the young Kraven walks in asking, unsettling, isn't it, when nature leaves its mark? Lizard spins back demanding, where is my son? And the young Kraven then says, I wish I knew, but I have a far greater prize. The young Kraven rushes in, punching at the Lizard, and as he beats him to the ground, he stops. No, something is wrong here. You're supposed to be the Lizard, the stories, the murderous predator. Lizard coughs, no, that is not who I am anymore. The chip in my spine sees to that. The young Kraven stares for a moment and then bursts out laughing. Lizard, you are a pathetic fool! You have the power of a god and you just lock it away? What kind of man are you? What kind of father are you? Your son is hiding somewhere. When I find him, I will rip him limb from limb and mount his head on my wall. The Lizard will live just long enough to watch it all happen. Back out in the park, the hunter who attacked Black Cat calls for support to ask why there are children here when he's been placed on hold. He waits for a moment and then says, hang on, I'm in VR. I can just take the stupid headset off. But just then, Arcade's voice tells him, no, you can't. He reaches for the headpiece, but as he pulls on it, Arcade says, you cannot remove the virtual link. The man continues to try and pry the headset off, but just then Vulture and his villains appear and attack. Elsewhere, Spider-Man asks Black Ant what he meant by knowing the truth here. Kraven stuck all of the villains in here to be killed by those hunters. And Black Ant says, well, yeah, that's only half the plan. There's one thing that Kraven hates more than the costume types, and that's the hunters themselves. Those rich, soft imposters who want to imagine themselves as killers on the weekends. Kraven wanted to show them what being an apex predator really meant. Spider-Man then said, how though? The drones, they are just drones, right? Kill the robot, it kicks the user off. And Black Ant tells him, nah, wrong. These hunters think that they're safe, but they're not. Those VR visors are directly linked to their brains. There's a bunch of sciencey stuff here, but the point is, if they die in here, they die out there. Spider-Man grabs Black Ant asking, where is Kraven? And Black Ant tells him, where do you think? Spider-Man rushes over to the zoo screaming for Kraven, asking, is this what you wanted? But instead of hearing Kraven respond, Arcade creates a projection stating, hey, Spidey, long time no kill. I would love to hear feedback so that we can improve on how to torture. As Spider-Man yells, I don't have time for games right now. Where's Kraven, Arcade? Arcade thinks for a moment and then tells him, nah, Kraven's busy, but I have something to keep you entertained until Kraven returns. Spider-Man's spider sense goes off, and when he turns back, he sees something walking out of the shadows. As he gets closer, he asks, are those vermin? The vermin all start to surround Spider-Man and then attack. But while all of this is going on, Kraven is sitting in his room, watching. He thinks to himself that this is going to be a test not for me, but for the spider. Spider-Man fights for his life as vermin tries so hard to eat him. They rip and they tear at his skin, but just before they finish the job, a loud sonic scream shoots towards them. The vermin all run away and Spider-Man looks up to see Kraven. Kraven kneels down, picking up his body, and he leaves. A short while later, Spider-Man begins to wake up, but as he does, he feels something pulling at his neck. He reaches forward, feeling a collar, and then there's a voice telling him that it's not surprising. After all, he'll want to teach you a lesson too. Spider-Man thinks to himself that he knows the voice. It's Kurt Connors. Spider-Man asks, you came looking for your son? And Kurt tells him, yes, I did. And this is what I found. Spider-Man says, what is this place? And Kurt tells him, it's our punishment. He should be here any moment. Spider-Man reaches for the collar again, but Kurt tells him not to do it. The collar is rigged to explode if it's tampered with. All they get to do is sit here and watch. The two look up at the monitor, and on it is Black Cat and Kurt's son, Billy. Black Cat is sitting in a tree stating that she needs a rest, and Billy tells her that they need to keep going. His dad will be here soon. Black Cat says, "Look, I understand what you're feeling. I'm sure your dad is looking, but..." And Billy stops her, telling her, No, you don't get it. I know my dad is here. He just doesn't want me to find him. Kurt then asks, "Do you know what it's like to bury your own child? To know that you're the reason why?" Billy was brought back, and I told myself not to ask any questions, but I knew deep down that I had to ask the question, is it really Billy? I even had Dr. Strange confirm it, and it was in fact Billy's soul in there, but his body was a clone. The worst part is Billy knows. He knows he died and came back, and right now I can't even save Billy. I'm failing him all over again, but this time, it's just a different kind of monster. Spider-Man continues to watch, asking, "What is that? Oh God, no. And Kurt tells him, "Yes, we were put here to watch them die." Out in the park, young Kraven appears before Black Cat and Billy. Spider-Man grabs at the collar, shouting, "We can't just sit here! We have to do something!" And Kurt tells him, "Yes, we do. Do you ever think why you're not chained up? They know that I could escape as the lizard, but I would never go so far because of the chip in my spinal cord." Spider-Man tells him, "No, we can't remove it. I know that tech. It's hardwired into your central nervous system. It would sever your spine. If you were to remove it, you could die." And Kurt tells him, "It's the only way." And Spider-Man tells him, "No, it's suicide." Kurt tells him, "It's possible I may regenerate as the lizard. Even though there's a chance I may not, we need to take it." Spider-Man tells him, "Please, don't ask me to do this. I have a code I live by." And Kurt tells him, "I know. Power and responsibility. I've heard the speech. Until you have children of your own, you will never know what true responsibility looks like. I did the worst thing a person could ever do. Have the blood of my own child on my hands. I have a chance to make it right, even if it costs me my life. We need to try." Kurt kneels down in front of Spider-Man, telling him, "I'm ready." And before Spider-Man grabs it, he asks, "How do I know that you're going to keep Billy safe?" And Kurt tells him, "Because I really controlled it. So help me, I really control it." Spider-Man reaches out, and all he can hear is the screams of Kurt Connors as the chip in his spinal cord is ripped out. Kraven then sits on his throne, telling him, "Good. The spider has passed the test. Now he is ready to face the hunter." Minutes pass, and Spider-Man looks at the body of the lizard, lifeless, telling himself, "I knew this would happen, and I did it anyway. Of course it didn't work. Of course. He's dead. You have to wake up for Billy. You have to get up." And just then, Lizard's eyes shoot open, and he roars! Spider-Man backs away, and the lizard gets up, bursting through the wall, searching for Billy. Spider-Man falls to his knees, wondering if he did the right thing. He almost killed a man, but just then, the collar pops off. He steps out into the hallway, and what he sees are dead guards everywhere. Kurt told him that he could control it. He said, but just then Kraven steps out, asking, "Not an easy sight, is it? Lies are always more beautiful." Spider-Man clenches his fist, stating, "You gotta stop this!" And Kraven tells him, "The only person that can stop this is you. You've taken the first step and you passed the test." Spider-Man charges in, punching Kraven. "This was a test? You're a psychopath!" Kraven pulls out a pair of knives, asking, "Do you not see it yet? Those who defiled the call of the hunter must be punished. The ones who made a mockery of everything that I've ever stood for. But you're the worst of them." He lunges at Spider-Man, stabbing the knife into his shoulder while using the other to slash at his torso. He digs the dagger in, stating, "I watched in awe at those gifts handed to you. All you ever did was spit in the face of the gods who made you. As you lay there, still clinging to weakness, the man inside. This was to be the last hunt, so I could show you what needs to be known. How to hunt, how to kill." Spider-Man gets up slowly. "No, I'm not like you." And Kraven asks, "Aren't you though? You thought killing was wrong, that it makes you evil. That's why when I was reborn, you rejected my pleas to be put back into the ground. I tried to appeal to your anger, your sense of vengeance, but that was my error. You were right to deny me my death, because a true hunter does not kill out of rage. He is above such things. He hunts and sees his place within the hunt. He honors the animal sacrifice. There's no sin in this, only something beautiful and noble." Spider-Man continues to try and get up, telling him, "It's not true." Kraven tells him, "No, You made a sacrifice. The lizard could have died, but you decided it was worth the chance. You knew the dangers of letting the lizard loose. You considered it well. Those guards' lives were forfeit by your actions. Spider-Man grabs his head, telling him, I'm sorry! I didn't mean for any of this to happen! And Kraven pats him on the back, telling him, this is what a hunter does. You killed the tiger to save the village. You feel it inside. Now it is time to see the truth. Arcade! A projection of Arcade appears, asking, you rang, boss? And Kraven tells him, explain my orders. Arcade tells him, your order is that if Spidey here managed to kill you, all the hunter bots will be shut down, all the tourists will be freed, the force field will be removed, and I'll send drones to save Black Cat and Billy. Easy peasy. Spider-Man tells him, you can't do this! Kraven tells him, yes, I can. How many times have you let the dangers go, only to have them return to haunt you? How many times have they come back more deadlier than before? How many lives have you already cost? Spider-Man's vision begins to fade, feeling the same thing that he felt before the mist. He sees Mary Jane's apartment, and he sees the same thing he saw before. Blood, broken glass, and Mary Jane. And he shouts, it's not real! But Kraven tells him, it is real, isn't it? Now you see the truth of the world. Hunters and the hunted. All because you were not strong enough to protect her. Spider-Man snaps out of it, punching Kraven, telling him, how many more lives do you have to lose? You tried to stop it, but it's never enough. The monsters keep coming back. Spider-Man kneels down on top of Kraven, getting ready to strike again, but then he stops and he looks at the guards. The guards around him, they weren't killed by claws. There's knife marks in the bodies. Kraven did this. Kraven did all of this. He was trying to push Spider-Man to his limits. As Spider-Man drags Kraven's body back inside, Kraven asks, what are you doing? Spider-Man tells him, watch. Just watch. On the monitor before Kraven, he sees his son fighting Black Cat. He stabs her, playing with his prey, but as the knife is raised, Lizard charges in, tackling him to the ground. Lizard claws and bites away at the young Kraven with no regard for his life, and before he can deal the final blow, the Lizard looks up, seeing Billy. He stops his attack, seeing how frightened his son has become, and he leaves. Spider-Man asks, do you see it now? We're supposed to help each other. It doesn't make us weaker, it makes us stronger. Do you see now, you murderous lunatic? This is why we'll never be the same. It's in that moment that Kraven knew. He had killed his own family, his own children. He was the beast. He had dreamed of becoming something more. He knew that he could never truly defeat the spider, and now he knew why. Now he knew what he must do. He burst out laughing. I finally understand now. I finally understand. He calls to Arcade, telling him, you have new orders. And a few moments later, the hunter bots deactivate, and the VR headsets power down. Spider-Man tells him, you still don't get it. And Kraven tells him, I don't have to. You have given me a gift, but I must leave now. Spider-Man stares at him, you aren't going anywhere. Kraven tells him, I must. You have my word. I will never hunt again. But remember this. The curse of Kraven still holds true. Only the spider can kill me. Now go. She needs you. Spider-Man runs out, with Kraven returning to his coffin, opening it up and grabbing the contents inside. And at that moment, the young Kraven screams to Spider-Man, lunging at him. Spider-Man is thrown outside, but as he fights back, the two begin to punch each other over and over again until finally Spider-Man falls. The young Kraven gets on top of him, wrapping both his hands around Spider-Man's neck, and he squeezes. He shouts as he does this, shaking the life out of him. But as the job is done, he looks up and he sees Spider-Man. The young Kraven looks down at the Spider-Man that he just killed, and he slowly begins to pull the mask off. As the mask comes off, the young Kraven sees his father, lifeless. He begins to scream, no! No! And at Kraven's coffin, all that's left is his rifle and a picture of his forgotten sons. And there you have it, Spider-Man hunted, resolving the plot. Spider-Man almost killed people. It was kind of crazy, but in the end, he didn't. So make sure you subscribe to the channel to see where this storyline is going next, because there is more to the Spider-Man storyline. And don't forget, you can find us over on Twitter at Comicstorian, where we can talk about some of your favorite comic books. But I need you to let me know, what is your favorite moment in this storyline down below? Do you like the return of Kraven? Do you like the fact that Kraven's son killed him? Do you like everything that happened? And don't forget to check out our sponsor, Raycon earbuds. We really do enjoy using them, and we'd love to have you guys go check them out and help support the channel by looking into our sponsors. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you next time right here at Comicstorian.